Hey folks, this is Fist-25 coming back at you with another ship review. This is my first review for the Aegis Dynamics series of ships, and it's about time I got back to doing some ship reviews. The ship we're going to talk about today is this beautiful ship right here, the Aegis Avenger Titan. And in this video, we're also going to we're going to talk about its variant, the Aegis Avenger Titan Renegade, which is a little bit different of a ship, but close enough to where it should stay in this video along with the regular Titan. So you may be asking yourself, hey, Fish, you already did a starter ship review. Why are you doing another review on the same ship? Well, the starter ship review was just a brief overlook, and it didn't include a loadout or any dogfighting or anything like that of things that the ship can do. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the Renegade, and we're going to talk about the regular Titan, my Penguin here, my favorite starter ship in the game, and we're going to do that right now. Okay, folks, so we're standing here with the Aegis Avenger Titan in its default color scheme. Starting from the back of the ship, let me go into first-person view here. We can see that it's, I apologize for the a little wet out here on Microtech. But you can see in the back here we have our engine area right up here. And, wow, the wind noise died real quick right there, huh? I really like the way that the engine area looks, especially when the engines are on, and we're going to see that when we get into a little bit of flight. This guy right here is our back door, and most of the time I actually enter the ship from the back here. But you do have the option to enter the ship from the front, which is something we're going to do as well. Under the ship here on the bottom, we can see that's a maneuvering thruster. We can see that the ship has a vertical stabilizer with what appears to be some kind of rudder built in there, even though none of the flight surfaces move quite yet in the game. You can see the branding of Aegis Dynamics here on the wing and up on the dorsal area of the top of the ship there. You can see that the paint here, the white and the black, the contrast of it, and I've talked about it before, it looks like the space shuttle, just a smaller version, and it's just something I really enjoy and I really like about this ship. Under the wing, we can see I have a couple of missiles. I believe these are Strike Force 2s that I have loaded on here. You can see I have some GT 220s, non-gimbaled, mounted on each wing. As we go around to the other side, you'll see that it's the same. It's a symmetrical ship, so it's loaded out exactly the same. Under the belly of the ship here on the keel, not a whole lot of detail. You got a little bit of light over here. And looking forward, we can see we have three kind of landing gear structures with actual wheels, even though the wheels don't move, but it looks phenomenal. We can see up into our wheel well here. There's some hydraulics in there, and the amount of detail that goes into these ships is pretty crazy. I spent a lot of time in the wheel well of an F-18 in real life, and it looks pretty darn similar. So let's make our way up to the front nose landing gear. We can see it's a standard nose landing gear, and it's going to retract up. Looks really good in there. You can see on the very front of the ship I have a Attrition 4 mounted up here. You can see our retro thrusters right here as well. And as I was mentioning, you see where it says ladder right there. We can enter the ship from the pilot's canopy side. We can also enter from the back. Looking at this ship from the front, I know it's got a gigantic gun on it, but it looks so good. And it has this real sleek dynamic profile. It's got a lot of surface area on the wings, and it does fly pretty darn good in atmosphere. I always seem to have good control. And then one of the things I really like about the ship as well is the lighting. Those lights on the vertical stabs and the edge lighting on the wings here are just really cool. Certainly like a formation light on a modern fighter. The glow of it, especially at night, you can tell when there's a Titan out there, and it just, well, all the Avenger series really, and yeah, it's very impressive. Let's go ahead and enter the cockpit from the rear of the ship. As you can see, this ramp door is pretty small. You're really not going to fit a vehicle up here, even something, maybe you could fit like a Nox Q or something like that in there, but we're going to go ahead and raise that back ramp up a little bit quieter. It's very, the ship's very Aegis-like, meaning it's used, right? We'll go over the history of the ship a little bit later, but it just has that feel that, hey, there's some stains on there, and there's definitely been cargo in here, and it's not a brand new shiny ship like an Origin ship by any means, and I kind of like that look. It just reminds me of some kind of military transport that I've spent a lot of time on. We can see there is a screen up here that doesn't do anything, and there's some more switches up here that don't do anything. Hopefully in the future they will, and this stuff will all maybe do something. Let's go into the only compartment that is not the cockpit. Cockpit's ahead of us. We can see we have a bed, and on the bed we can lie down and go to sleep in this ship. I believe it's, out of all the starter ships, I think there's only a couple that you can actually go to sleep in, and this is definitely one of them. I believe that's really all the interactables that are in the ship for now. It doesn't have shoilet or anything like that. So that's really about it to this area of the ship. So let's go ahead and make our way into the cockpit. And we will enter the pilot's chair. Okay, looking out, we can see the beautiful city of New Babbage on the planet of Microtech. Let's go ahead and fire the ship up. Okay, ship is fired up. Let's take a look around here. As we can see, this canopy doesn't really have any struts on it. So it's a very clean look, and there is a ton of glass up here. So you really do have a really good viewport. You don't have anything down at the bottom, right? You can't see the ground or anything like that, but as far as seeing everything like a pilot would want to see. And this ship can do light cargo hauling, so it's not like you really need to be careful with the ground. It's a pretty light ship, so you can. It doesn't take much just to maneuver around and land. Looking down, we have 3 multi-purpose displays plus our 2D radar. Again, that's very Aegis-like. As we pan the cockpit here for our buttons, we see we have ejection here up by the left control stick. We can open our pilot canopy and the ladder up here by the lower part of the multi-purpose display. In the middle here, what do we have? We have a power button. And again, open exterior and press to unlock. And that, we can exit our seat by going to the right. And I know we can exit the ship here on our left. And that's going out the cockpit side. Yeah, and that's really about it for buttons and things like that. Our displays, they all work. They all do their job. And that's, really, you have dual sticks up here and your rotor pedals, and it looks good and it feels good. Let's go to our third-person view. As we pan around the ship, again, it has that same kind of look from Aegis ships that they've been used. And you can see there's some runs the paint. You can see where all the different panels are on the ship. Those lines are easily, you know, pulled out of the view on the dorsal area, and it looks like it's being used. It looks like, you know, someone's flown the ship a time or two. And you know, I know wear and tear is coming to ships, but I like it because it looks like, you know, like it's true to life. It's verisimilitude is very high. As you can see, the engine back here looks really good. It's got that kind of crazy blue, and we're going to see more of that as we take off. So let's go ahead and do a lift off. See how easy and gentle it was to lift off? That is kind of the trademark of these ships. Let's retract the landing gear. Take a look at that. Very simple. And now you can see why it's called the Penguin, because it kind of has that hump. And when you look at it, you know, standing right side up, it kind of, if it would look like a penguin's head, or like a whole penguin's body. You can see our thrusters here. We have those 4 thrusters keeping us aloft in our flight. And you can see our other thrusters. We have 4 on the top as well. There we go. And let's reset our view, and we will just start to take off at SCM speed. And so the sound, if you can hear the sound of the engine, it sounds really good. It sounds pretty mean. So our SCM here is 178 meters a second, which is decent. You know, it's not trying to be the Anvil Arrow, but it is a good multi-role ship, and it's fast and it's light, and I think it fulfills its role very well. What are the different things you can do with the ship? Well, it's got 8 standard units of cargo, so you could definitely haul a little bit of cargo. You're not gonna make a fortune with the ship, but you can put cargo in here. At the same time, you could also haul boxes. I used to do a ton of box delivery missions in this ship, and I always had a good time doing them. Now, you don't have to store the boxes in the cargo area. You could actually bring them into where, you know, your bed is at and everything, and haul cargo. I kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone. I used to make runs like that all the time from like Loreville to New Babbage when they still had those missions, before we had our pizza delivery missions. And I would say the last and probably the best role of this ship is as a pretty decent dogfighter. Again, like I said, it's no Arrow, it's no Hornet. It's not made to be only a fighter ship. It's not supposed to have a single role. But when I do have to fight in the ship, I have a size 4 weapon and 2 size 3 weapons mounted on this thing, and that's pretty darn powerful. I used to have a different loadout. I used to load the Revenant on here, but since 312, the Revenant has too much muzzle flash, and it's very hard to see in any ship when you fire the Revenant. It's just so bright that, especially on the Titan with where you see where that forward gun is mounted, you get way too much muzzle flash, and it's just too hard to see anything. As we can see, the rolls are pretty darn good. Let me get a better view for you here. As we come down here on Snowy Microtech, let's check our roll rate here. Now, that's not super fast. That's not a Gladius or an Arrow or anything. But I kind of like the roll. It feels slow, but it feels smooth. And just like the Lancet Mining Laser, I think I'd rather take smooth over janky any day. So that's a nice smooth roll, easy to control. Like I said, the ship is very light. It's like a very well-balanced sword. Let's check our yaw. And granted, we're in atmosphere, so our yaw is not going to be that great. It's okay. It's nothing to write home about in atmosphere. So just like any other ship, you're going to have to roll an atmosphere and then roll everything out. And let's check its pitch. And this is a lot like its roll. It's slow, but it's smooth. And the ship is so light that you can control the pitch and the roll and the yaw very easily. So let's take it off at SCM here. Let's crank up the speed a little bit. I know we're not going to get going too fast here on Microtech, but there's an afterburner look. I think that looks really cool. Let's see what the ship can do in atmosphere flight. So that felt really good. Like I said, there's no other way to describe it than the ship feels light. It feels very nimble, but you can tell when you're flying it, it's not the most graceful athlete on the field, but it gets the job done. So let's head on out of the atmosphere and head on into space, and let's see how long it takes us to actually head out of atmosphere. So that took, I don't know, about a solid minute or so. So definitely, it's starting to red out. Definitely better than a lot of ships out there. Let's make our way over to Port Tressler. All right. As we hit Port Tressler here, let's find out our maximum speed. Let's change it. No, we're not. Oh, I just felt like we were starting to red out in space. Okay, so it looks like our maximum speed is 1113 on this ship, which, you know, I would say it's balanced. If I could use any real word for this ship, I would say balanced crazy. If I could use any real word for this ship, I would say balanced would be the word I would use, and that just makes the most sense. So I'm not going to bore you with the details of how to run cargo or pick up a box and deliver a box with a box delivery mission. But I am going to go over the loadout of the ship, and we are going to get into a little bit of dogfighting. And so I'm going to hit Quantum, and I'll see you on the next segment. So while we're in some quantum travel, I wanted to bring up an article from, I believe it was 2013, when, maybe it wasn't 13, it was when the Aegis Avenger was first launched as like a concept ship. Yeah, it was 2013. So it was one of the original type of ships for the game. The builder, of course, is Aegis Dynamics. The text that CIG writes is the Aegis Avenger has had a long and storied life as a standard patrol craft of the UEE advocacy. Although aging, the Avenger features a sturdy, reliable hull and the capacity for larger than expected engine mount. It avoids more specialized weapons in favor of a single center line gun mount, which makes it something of a marksman ship, which I agree with. Police Avengers support enhanced scanner suites in the service of the patrol duties, and the civilianized models retain a higher amount of computer memory than similarly sized spacecraft. The UEE Navy's air arm continues to use Avengers, designated as November 6 Golf, as their standard trainer spacecraft. Any pilot serving today likely spent at least 300 hours qualifying in an Avenger before moving on to their combat assignment. So the Avenger in Squadron 42 as a trainer aircraft is kind of the equivalent of a T-6 Texan in real life. As a more forward advocacy officers began the transition to the police variant of the M50 Interceptor, and used Avengers have flooded the market. Criminal elements have begun to adopt the Avengers for their own needs, finding that their larger than average cargo hold and engines make an ideal bootlegging spacecraft. So, of course, the Avenger has been modified quite a bit since 2013. Back then, everybody called it the Dolphin. But, there's very few ships in Star Citizen. Well, I shouldn't say that anymore. I was going to say there's very few ships that have a lot of variants, but actually there's quite a few ships that have a lot of variants. Especially Aegis ships, and Origin. But, yeah, this ship has a variant line of 4. You have the Aegis Avenger Titan, which we're in now. The Aegis Avenger Titan Renegade, which is basically a dogfighting and specialized loadout and paint scheme of this ship. There is the Aegis Stalker, which is the bounty hunter ship with jail cells in the back, and the Aegis Warlock, which is an EMP type of Aegis that you can't actually put anything in the back, because the back cargo area is the EMP generator. So it's a lot of interesting stuff about the Titan. The Titan was made to be, the cargo variant. On the Play Store, like if you're going to buy this ship right now as a starter pack, I believe it's $70 US. If you're going to buy it in game, you can buy it at the New Deal Shipyard for about $785,000 Alpha UEC. You can rent it at a number of places, any of the big 3 spaceports outside the planets, and Vantage Rentals in Lorville. So with that, we'll move on to the next segment. We'll see you there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like our bounty found us already. Auto Elisade. So I don't have anything gimbaled on here, so he's in a Valkyrie. This is a high-risk target mission. You can see I have that big attrition 4 on the nose and some GT220s on here. Let's take this guy out. Looks like I'm able to dodge relatively well in the Titan. I know it's just an HRT and not a very high-risk target, but looks like I'm getting real good shots on him. Definitely getting penetration. I'm able to maintain speed with him and kind of do our circle of death. And I'm able to accelerate around him fast enough where he's not really hitting me. And there he goes. Let's see some smaller targets here. Cuddy Black. Now, let's get I got some size 2 missiles. Let's shoot those off. We don't run ourselves in the back of an asteroid. Alright, 2 size 2s coming at you. First set. I'm really looking forward to patch 313 and the new wave missiles are going to be coming out. Alright. And let's look at how this Hornet lines up with a couple more missiles. So, not a huge payload of missiles on the Titan, but they are size 2s. Looks like I really took the Hornet's shields down. I just took out some part of its ship here. Ooh, the Hornet can do a little damage when it wants to, can it? Oh, how are you still going? Okay, I thought he was still going. It looked like he was still going. Apparently that's just the remains of his ship. Alright, my friend, sorry. Alright guys, let's find, I'd like to do at least one more mission in here, maybe against that's the small ECN alert. I was hoping to get some bigger ships, but, yeah, let's go ahead and give this guy a try. Maybe it'll be some smaller ships, maybe a bigger challenge. I like the ECM missions with the Connies. Those are my favorite. So, as we saw, the yaw in atmosphere wasn't that great. It's pretty darn good here in space. If you look at this yaw rate, it's pretty darn good. So I really have no complaints with the way the Aegis Avenger maneuvers. It maneuvers really well. Well, there's our guy. We should be having a target spawn in anytime. There's our first one. And no missiles. Oh, so this is a Connie. Alright, let's see how well we do against like 4 Connies with... We might end up running out of ballistics. Oh, I've never seen a Connie move like that in real life. It's just kind of comical how fast they turn sometimes. I love the way the SDF shields look. I mean, I know they're not fully implemented and it's just testing, but on everything so far except the Eclipse, they seem to be just really, really good looking. I can tell where my shots are going for the most part. Until they desync. Uh-oh, that was a letdown. I was hoping for a much bigger explosion than that. See if we can stay a little further away from this guy. So, you know, 2 GT220s, 2 size 3 ballistics is really nothing to shake a stick at. You see how this guy was coming at me sideways pretty quickly, and I was able to actually hit reverse throttle, and I was fine. I was able to slow down my acceleration quick enough. There we go. That's way more impressive. Alright. Now you gotta quit cursing on my channel, buddy. I'm gonna get demonetized. YouTube, that's not me. That's the game. I guess you gotta get monetized before you can get demonetized, right? Alright. And I think this is the last Connie. Don't hit our friend there. I know that's your goal. If you really want to kill him, you just ram. So you can see, so far the Titan has just dominated small ships, big ships, Valkyrie, a high-risk target Valkyrie mission. I mean, just make quick work of these Connies. Well, don't worry, buddy. I'm here. I protected you. Alright, and that's, you know, I think that should be more than 10 grand, but, yeah, that was a good time. Okay, so you've seen the first-person combat of the Avenger Titan. I think we're going to go ahead and move on to the loadout for the Titan, and then we'll get into the Titan Renegade. So we will see you on the loadout page. All right, everybody, and now we're to the loadout page for the Aegis Avenger Titan, brought to you by Urkel.games. If you haven't been to this website, the DPS calculator, oh, it's a lifesaver. Phenomenal website. Some of the information is not perfectly true, but that's okay. I mean, they take data directly from the files in the game, so if that data is a little skewed, then it's skewed in here. But it is supposed to be directly from the files in the game. So taking a base look at the Titan, we can see here that the role of the ship is a courier ship, which makes sense, you know, box missions and cargo. But as you saw earlier, it really held its own really well in dogfights and attack missions because the guns on it are such a large size, and it just really held its own really well. Its ship size is 2. It's got 6,000 roughly whole hit points, which it's okay. It's not so much a glass cannon, but it's not, you know, it's not a Vanguard or anything. The dimensions are relatively small, 15 by 20 by 6.5 meters. Not the biggest ship, and it's not supposed to be the biggest ship, right? Its mass is just over 50,000 kilograms, which seems, like I said, pretty light for a ship of its type. Its SCM speed they have listed is 189 meters a second, with its top speed being 1113. I think we got those numbers are exactly accurate. You see its pitch and its yaw are both 62 degrees a second, which were not bad. They fit the size of the ship and the roll of the ship. The roll rate didn't feel like it was 120 degrees a second. It felt a little bit slower than that. But like I mentioned before, all 3 axes felt very smooth. There was really no jankiness, and I think that's attributed to the overall ship has a feeling of lightness. There was not a whole lot of need to overcorrect. When I let go during the roll, the ship pretty much stopped rolling. It didn't keep on trying to go. I didn't overcorrect. I didn't undercorrect. The hydrogen capacity is 90,000 liters. Quantum fuel is 583 liters, and it has 8 SCU cargo. You can buy the ship at Lorville at the New Deal Shipyard for 785,600 Alpha UEC, and like I said, you can rent it at pretty much everywhere. We can see its stock loadout here on the screen, and its stock DPS is just at 1067. Its missile damage with its stock infrareds are 14,774. Its shields is 14,400, 270 hit points a second. Its power is just at stock loadout under half, which is good. Max capacity is 4417. It's using 2,000 of that. And its cooling is well under half. using 208 out of 520 cooling units. It puts out an EM signature of 21,325. And yeah, so let's change all this up, because this is not what I use on my Titan. Now on my Titan Renegade, a little bit different story with gimbals, but on my Titan, I take off all the gimbals. Everything is fixed for me. It is not particularly a dogfighter, but I do, like, if I have to hit something, I want it to be powerful. So what I used to put on here was, on the nose, I used to put a remnant, and that was a huge deal. But I stopped doing that because of the muzzle flash. It's just blinding. And you know, one thing I forgot to do here was, let me reset the weapons. And a new part of a segment of what I want to do is to capture the differences between the stock loadouts and once I actually load something out. So I just captured that on my snipper tool. Let me change all of our weapons here. Okay, so now we're back to no gimbals, and on the nose, like I said, I used to put a remnant on there, but today I put an attrition 4 on there, which has 925 DPS when it's heated up. And then on each wing, I will put my ballistics, which I use a Mantis GT220, and they seem to hold a ton of ammo, and they work really well. You saw I did 2 dogfighting missions, didn't even come close to running out. So there you go. So with this weapon loadout, our damage is now 1885 DPS once that attrition gets heated up, which takes not long at all, compared to our stock loadout, which was 1067. So we're adding over 800 more DPS with this loadout. Let's go down to our missiles. I keep my Titan at size 2 missiles. So, but I do change them up to Strike Force 2s, which do the most damage out of any of the cross sections. So now our missile damage is now at 15,160. It was at 14,774. So not, you know, it's not drastic, but it's like almost 500 more damage there. As far as our shields go, yeah, everything here is industrial grade C. Our power plant and industrial grade B. Our coolers are military grade C, and our quantum drive is a military grade C. We're going to change those shields up to my standard size 1 shield layout of an FR66 and an industrial palisade. So now our shield total hit point pool is 14,040. The stock hit point pool was 14,400. So we're losing a little bit of shield. And the reason that's happened is because we went to an FR66, which is a military grade A, versus what was on there, which was the bulwark here, which has more hit points. We tried to offset that a little bit by using the slower charging palisade. So what's the difference here? Well, yeah, we lost a little bit of hit point pool on our shields, but our charge up time now is we get 477 hit points a second, and we will get a full charge of our shields from 0 to full in 33 seconds. Our stock loadout was 270 hit points a second. That's how fast we were charging. And we were a full charge with our stock loadout at 58 seconds. So you can see I've added my 200 hit points a second in how fast the shields charge, and almost 30 seconds, half a minute charge. They will charge from 0 to full. So I think that's significant, and I think that's worth taking the shield hit point pool down a little bit. Plus, this ship is maneuverable, so it can dodge a little bit. You know, maybe you don't need that insane hit point pool. Our power plants, we are going to change this over to my standard size 1 JS300. What that will do is take our maximum power plant power a second here to 3681, The standard on there before was an industrial standard, and it was actually more power. It was 4417, and so we are lowering the overall total power that the power plant can put out. However, the JS300 does push out power faster, and it's a grade A power plant. So once modularity and things like that come into the game, those grade A components are going to be a much bigger factor. Overall, we're still under half, right? I mean, we're real close to half there. And that's really where we want to keep the power. So I think power is really balanced here. We've actually lessened the power load on the ship right now. We'll see what it is when we're done. As far as the coolers, I'm going to get rid of these military grade C coolers, and we're going to go to the standard tried and true industrial ultra flows. That will change our cooling here. Our cooling maximum load is now 880, whereas before it was 520. We do have a little bit more of a load because we have higher performing components. So we're at 240 for our load versus 208 on the stock loadout. And our quantum drive, we are going to go to the fastest drive that we can make a jump across the system with, which is the Atlas. So this is my upgraded loadout for the Aegis Avenger Titan. Just to double check here, now our power load is 1942, a little bit more. Our stock power loadout was 2006, so we've lowered that as well. So let's go ahead and throw all of these items into the cart and see how much that'll cost you. I'm going to go ahead and put everything to New Babbage here. And I say that because New Babbage is basically one-stop shopping. You can stop there and you can buy everything you need, except for the stuff you can't buy there, which is very few. So we can buy everything at New Babbage except for the Atlas Quantum Drive, which we can buy at Port Alsar, and all the attritions, they're only sold at Lorville. So fully upgraded the Aegis Avenger Titan, we're looking at roughly 191,626 Alpha UEC, which I don't think is like that horrible. It's definitely not super cheap, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's insane to upgrade that. That's not that much money in the grand scheme of things, especially if this is your primary ship. So there's my loadout for the Avenger Titan, guys. Now let's head on over and we're going to take a look at the Aegis Avenger Titan Renegade. Stay tuned. All right, folks, so as you have guessed it, we are looking at the Aegis Avenger Titan Renegade at this point. I have a little bit different of a build on this guy, but otherwise it's, for all intents and purposes, it is exactly the same as the regular Aegis Avenger Titan. On this build, it's fully gimbaled. I have some different shields, but on the nose, I have a Mantis GT220 that is a size 3 gimbal. And on the wings, I have Attrition 2s that are also on a gimbal. My missile loadout's a little bit different. I have a couple Dominator 2s and I have a couple Rattler 2s. Those are the Rattlers up there. And yeah, other than that, it's the exact same ship. It does have a little bit different of a paint scheme. But as far as it's supposed to come with a better dogfighting loadout. And we'll go over the history of the ship here in a bit. But here's from the back. We'll go ahead and enter from the rear section of this ship and get it into space and go take a look at it. You see the cargo area is exactly the same, and so is the bed area, right? So you can sleep here and sit down, but other than that, that's pretty much all the interaction you're going to get on the Avenger Titan Renegade. So let's hop in this pilot seat as we're here at Port Alsar, and we are going to start her up. Alright, systems are green. Let's go to third person. Go ahead and check this ship out. It does, I do like the paint scheme. It looks pretty unique. We fly away from Port Olisar. You can see it's got this kind of blue.
Thank you, and please visit again.
Yeah, I will, buddy. It's got this blue with the hexagonal pattern and some really nice blacks built in there. And then it has the stark contrast, a little bit of a darker yellow. It matches the Invictus theme of this spacecraft. You can see that the lights here on the back, they are in yellow, where the original Titan, they are in like a blue color. You can see that our vertical stabilators are lit up, and the bottom of the aircraft looks about the same. Looks like it's made out of bricks there. But again, the ship does look fantastic. Let's see, it's if I hit the left mouse button, I'm firing that GT220. And the right mouse button, I'm firing these attrition twos. So let's head back into the cockpit. Because I'm gimbaled, I'm going to hit G twice and set up that dash circle gimbal window and kick it up to about to my normal dogfighting speed. Now, there is some lore to the Avenger Renegade. It's what's called the Master of Flight series, and CIG did this on a few different aircraft, like the Titan Renegade, the F-7C Hornet Wildfire, which I've already covered in a different video, the Gladius Valiant, the Aegis Saber Comet. So those four ships are part of, I guess they were kind of created in conjunction with the Arena Commander flight sim, and so you can get these ships, you can buy these ships as a variant of your favorite ships, and they come with a different stock loadout, supposed to make them better for dogfighting. And they also come with a unique skin. The Renegade here with its very navy advocacy type blue and yellow skin. The Wildfire has this red and gray type of skin. The Valiant has some more yellows and a little bit different green. The regular Gladius and the Saber Comet has a different type of camouflage, digital camouflage color. But we'll go over those Aegis ships a little bit more when we get into it. I mean, 3 Aegis ships are part of Master of Flight series. What does that tell you about Aegis, right? Compared to the one Anvil ship. So let's do what this ship does best, and let's take it through a little bit of dogfighting. Let's first find a mission. I just got into the game here, so we got to make sure we take all the arms. We will untrack it. Let's see what's around Crusader, if anything. Obviously, I'm not going to go blow up an Idris and by myself and an Avenger Titan. I guess we got a medium risk mission, so we'll take that. We'll go nab this bad guy. Now, the lore says, as we enter Quantum, we're going to talk about it a little bit. It says that the famed pilot that inspired the Titan Renegade, his name is Danny Solomon. And he was an advocacy agent that was renowned for being real rough around the edges. And he became famous for bringing swift justice to outlaws. I'm getting all this information from StarCitizen.tools as well, guys, so if my lore is a little bit off, I apologize. In the mid-29th century, so a little while ago, because it's, 2951 now, Danny was assigned to the Bremen system as an advocacy agent. And so advocacy, think of it as kind of like police, but like UEE police, so almost like an FBI, U.S. Marshal type of police. And so he would go patrol, and he did not fly the standard stalker variant of the Avenger Titan that most advocacy agents fly. And the reason he didn't fly that, everybody thought was for different reasons, but it came out that he actually wanted to strip out the holding cells in favor of speed of the Titan, and I can certainly respect that. Definitely. So he wanted some more speed, and so that's why he used the Titan instead of the Stalker. Okay, so notice we are gimbaled here. Let's put some fire on this guy. It's a Cutlass Black, and he brought a friend with him. So the nice thing about being gimbaled is I can stay in that range. I can stay in that little circle there, and my shots should hit him. Boy, the server's pretty smooth here. Boom! He's gone. Okay. Now let's use some missiles. Can I get far enough away from this guy? Okay, we're in range. I'm gonna lock one Rattler too. So this is the cluster missile. As it flies out, it'll go to a bunch of different other little missiles. Well, it was supposed to. Now let's try the Dominator, the EM missile. This actually has more punch to it, but I think it's easier to dodge. I didn't get it on him because he came too close. Alright, there we go. Hey, don't curse, I'm on YouTube, buddy. Oh, that's a pretty good hit, too. Let's see if we can get another one on there and blow him up. I mean, it's just an Aurora. Oh, no. So an Aurora LN's going to take 4 missiles, maybe. Alright, there's 4 missiles. Oh, man. I mean, I definitely did some damage to him, but not enough to... Oh, see all the little missiles? Or no, that's a countermeasure. There's no way you got those out in time, buddy. So, I've always felt that the Avenger Titan... Alright. He was a little more slow than the regular Avenger. Oh, I see an asteroid there. So this guy's in an M50, way faster than me, right? But something to notice here as we probably joust this guy. I have dual FR66 shields on this. So I took some hits. I mean, it's like they immediately regen. So it's actually kind of nice. So I definitely don't have as high of a hit point pool, so if I was going after targets that hit a lot harder, I'd probably have to be careful, but I could get away and recharge my shields and then get back into the fight a lot quicker than I would if I was doing something else. Okay, so there goes that M50, and apparently my lasers are still firing. Alright, so there was some first-person dogfighting on the Aegis Avenger Titan. Let's go ahead and take ourselves to Yella. And let's see just, how different this ship really is. See if we can get it in atmosphere a little bit here. So before we do that, let's go forward. Let's go for some roll. So, to me, the roll feels slower than a regular Titan. Okay, let's go for some pitch. And the pitch feels about the same, and the yaw feels about the same, but the roll feels a little bit different. Not necessarily good or bad, it's just different. Where can we go? Where can we get some decent light out of here? Oh, let's go to Jumptown. I haven't been to Jumptown in forever. Let's see if it's light over in Jumptown. So Jawa Sparky just did a video on Yella and some of the history behind it. I believe it was called The Cool One. All these moons were named after this book and like characters from a book, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of creepy, but it's kind of cool. And apparently Jumptown doesn't have any. So the nice thing about being near a moon is that we can pretty easily quantum to a different place. Even though we are going to get a little red here. Let's go to Deacons. Oh, that's going to be cool. Quantuming Crusader there. So yeah, there's definitely some interesting lore about Yella. I believe he already did Daymar, and he has Selin left to do, and Grim Hex, and Port Olisar, and then I believe he's going to do Orison when it actually comes out, which we may see that in a few months. So I think that'll be really cool. I'm kind of excited to see that because I miss having that solid 5th landing area, you know, now that Levski's gone. Let's do a little flying in the Renegade in some atmosphere here if we can, if we don't crash. Okay. Maybe that's a little too close for comfort, huh? So we'll get a little roll going. I mean, and granted, we're on a moon here, guys, so way less gravity to worry about. Put some afterburner in there. Oh, and I shut my engines down. So that didn't take much, even though I have some ultra flows on here. You see the pock marks and the mountains of Yella. Some of the craters here. I do like how the Titan does have pretty good contrails. You see it has really pretty good yaw there. See how long it takes to about 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Maybe 6 seconds to come to a stop with a 180 just with engine power, and then move forward again with engines. Throw a little afterburner in there. So there we go. We see that the Renegade is not much different than the stock Titan. It supposedly has the same stats, I guess. To me, maybe it's psychological, but it just feels like it's a little bit different. It flies a little bit different. Not different enough to make a difference, but different. So, okay, so here out on Yella, where there's really no atmosphere, you can see our top speed is 1112. Let's see what our SCM speed's going to be. Get a little turn and burn action there. All right, and so we are 188 for SCM. Apparently, I'm getting kind of some space dust, or some rain, or something weird up on the canopy on the windscreen. So there we go. The Aegis Avenger Titan, with its unique look, unique paint job, its ability to fight is not in question at all. It just depends on what kind of loadout you want. And speaking of loadouts, that's a good time to transition over to the loadout that I have for this Aegis Avenger Titan Renegade. Take it away, me. All right, everybody. So as you can see, we still have Loadout games up, and I have the Avenger Titan on the screen. I wanted to compare the differences between the Avenger Titan and the Avenger Titan Renegade, because we're going to go over the loadout of the Renegade. So on the Avenger Titan, you can see all the stock statistics on the left. 1067 DPS, and with the Renegade, it's 943, so less on the Renegade, but much higher alpha damage, 341 to 146. These are stock loadouts. The missile damage on the Renegade, 14,774, just a little bit less. I'm sorry, the damage on with the Renegade is more than the stock loadout of the Titan. Confusing myself. Too many Avenger Titans going on. The shield loadout on the stock Titan is 14,400. It's the exact same on the Renegade. In fact, it's the exact same shields. It's also the exact same quantum drive. As far as power goes, the stock Titan uses a little bit more power, but they have the same power plants and shields and all that stuff. So let's change things up, or let's at least take a look at the Titan Renegade and see what its stock loadout is. We can see that its main nose gun is the Mantis GT220 that's gimbaled, and we can see that there are two 10 series greatsword ballistic cannons which are also gimbaled, and those are on each wing, so it's a fully ballistic loadout, whereas the stock Titan has a couple lasers and a GT220 on the nose. The Titan Renegade has two, it says cross section, but I believe the Tempest is actually infrared. I'm not sure, but it has two Tempest missiles on it, and then two definitely EM Dominator missiles, whereas the stock Titan has four Ignite 2s. So that's why there's a little bit more damage on it. Renegade. Other than that, the system components are exactly the same, and they'll be the same build out as I've had before. If we look at the actual basic stats here, it's still the same ship size, the same role, the same career. The whole hit points for the Renegade is 6,040, same as the Titan. The dimensions are the same. Now the mass depends on the weapons, right? So it's almost identical. It's pretty much the same thing. The speed and the pitch, roll, and yaw are identical. So is the fuel capacity and the standard 8 cargo units. So let's do something a little bit different. I like to use my Titan as my ungimbaled ship, and then I change around my Titan Renegade, and I actually keep everything on a gimbal because whether or not the stats show it, I feel like it moves a little bit slower, and so it's a little bit more dogfighty for me. And why not, since I have both ships, why not have a different loadout? So one of my loadouts is gimbaled, the other one is non-gimbaled, and you can flip and flop them and max them around however you want to. So for, of course, if you look at Star Citizen in patch 312, 312.1, you'll know that ballistic cannons and laser cannons just don't have, for me anyway, they don't have the high DPS, they don't have the repeatability, they don't have the pop that repeaters do. Right now, repeaters kind of rule the game, in my opinion. So I like to keep this Mantis GT220 on the nose, gimbaled as a size 3. But I am going to change the size 2 weapons on the side of the aircraft on the wings to kind of a tried and true attrition 2 laser setup. And you could go with an attrition 3 and on the nose, and then go with 2 Mantis GT215s on the wings if you want a little bit more ballistics. But I find this build with the 220 and the 2 attritions 2s works really, really well. It's significantly more DPS, they fire faster, and if you run out of bullets in your 220, I mean, you still got 2 gimbaled attrition 2s, so you should be able to mow down pretty much everything that a Titan Renegade could handle normally anyway. As far as the missiles go, I kind of like having the mix of missiles in here. One thing I will change is I will change up the first missile, the Tempest, over to a Rattler 2. And then I will keep the Dominator 2 on there. So there is not 5 million damage on the Rattler 2. It's a mistake. So just to let you know that. And then I will change the shields around. Now, I typically go for a Palisade and an FR66 type of build. Definitely going to put an FR66 in there for the recharge. But sometimes I do, I have a bunch of Guardians just sitting around. So sometimes I do like to go with the Guardian as an industrial because it has a higher recharge. But for the Avenger Titan Renegade, I want this to kind of be a real slick, fast, accurate ship. I plan to dodge more with this, so I'll go with 2 FR66s with probably the highest regen rate for in comparison with the hit point pool, and go with that. The power plants, I will go with JS300. It's tried and true. Same with the coolers. I'll go with my standard Ultra Flows, and the Quantum Drive will be an Atlas. Although you probably could get away with a little bit of stealth here, like a Drift, or even go with something else if you don't mind having to stop to get gas. But it's up to you. Right now I'm just going to put an Atlas in there. And so here we go with a Titan Renegade build, gimbaled, with fast recharge shields and an interesting weapons and missile loadout. And I find it works for me pretty darn well. So don't pay attention to the missile damage. That is flawed. It's not 5 million damage. But our DPS is at 1302, and with 188 alpha, it's still higher than a stock Titan. And it works. It works pretty darn good. I like it, and it's gimbaled, so you're probably going to get more shots on target. As far as the shields go, it's not as much as the 14400 as Industrials would have for a stock Titan, but I'm coming back with 612 hit points a second and a 23-second full charge versus 270 hit points a second and almost a 1-minute charge with the Bulwark stock shields. With the power draw, it's right around the same, and with the cooling, I have an increased cooling capacity using the Ultra Flows. So something to take a look at. This is typically the build I have for a Renegade, especially lately. So let's put all of our stock items into the cart. We'll check the cart. You can see there's not that much to buy. You can buy the FR66s at Port Olisar. I still recommend going to New Babbage for everything. One-stop shopping. So let me change all this around. You still have to buy the attritions at Hurston, in the Hurston Dynamics showroom. Now here's an interesting one. The Rattler 2s you can buy at Area 18, Her L4, Crew L5, where it still has Levski up there. I believe Levski stuff has changed over to Hurston, but Urkel.Games has not updated that yet. So for now, let's just say we'll go to the cheapest one. We'll see at Area 18 Dumpers Depot. So you can get about half of this at New Babbage, and then at Port Olisar, Lorville, and then Area 18. And it retails out for about 143,000 out the UEC. So that's the Titan Renegade build, and let's get back in game and show you some more shots and what's going on with our Aegis Avenger Titan and Aegis Avenger Titan Renegade. Alright everybody, so here we have the Aegis Avenger Titan in the olive livery. It's one of the 5 different paint schemes for the Aegis Avenger Titan series, and really all the Aegis Avenger series. But this one is basically a solid olive drab, and in the light it actually looks pretty good. In the darkness it's pretty well hidden. Let me flip over and show you the bottom. You can see the bottom is the standard kind of black brick space shuttle ablative plating type stuff, and it does have some green on the wingtips there. But yeah, so this is the Aegis Avenger olive livery, and let's now move on over to the Splinter livery. Okay folks, so here we have the Aegis Avenger Titan in the Splinter livery, which again is kind of a camouflage pattern. This one is not solid green like the olive, but it has greens, different color greens. It's got dark green and kind of a medium tone green and a light green. And just to break up the pattern, mostly on the top of the aircraft here. I think it looks interesting. I think I'd rather prefer just the straight regular olive. color to this. For the underside, it is still that black standard Aegis Avenger, and it's got the green wingtips as well. So there we go. There is the Splinter livery for the Aegis Avenger. All right, folks, so here is the final paint livery that I have for the Aegis Avenger Titan series. This is actually, I believe it's a limited livery that you could get during Invictus launch week. And I know it's blue and gold, but it's different from the Avenger Titan livery. It actually is, there's way more blue on here, and it's a little bit lighter shade of blue. And it's not gold, it's as much as it's yellow. So here's a look at this. It's different. It's very navy orientated and colored like that. As we zoom in, we can see the Invictus launch week logos on both of the vertical stabilizers. The underneath look is exactly the same as before. It's just that really the paint is on the top of the ship. There we go. So that's a neat little view of what is to be a different paint, and maybe it's exclusive. I have no idea, but I think it looks pretty cool. It's definitely different. It's fun to mix up the paints. So this is actually the 5th, and as far as I know, final of the paints. You have the standard penguin paint, the olive, the Splinter, this paint, the Invictus 2950, and the Titan Renegade stock paint, which is a little bit deeper blue and more, or a different placed gold. So that wraps up that. You can buy some of the paints in game at dumpers, depots throughout the verse, and they are not cheap, but they're not super expensive. And so go ahead and mix up the look of your ship as we will fly off into the sunset. Yeah. Hey everybody, this is Fist-25, and I just want to say thank you for watching our video on the Aegis Avenger Titan and the Titan Renegade. As always, if you could throw a like and subscribe down below, I would really appreciate it as we're trying to grow this channel. And as always, if you have any comments, please put them in the comment section below. Jawa and I always engage with our audience, and we're looking to have a discussion, as I hope you are as well. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you around the verse. Good night, Stan.